When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So, finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing toward that big business goal.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly, unfiltered podcast for online business owners. They were so good, we always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content, anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeleine Digan, and this is
#managed. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of #managed. Hey, Madeleine. How's it going? How was your weekend?
It's good. I had quite an exciting weekend. So I worked the farmers market, which here in Charleston, there's multiple farmers market, but I went to the one downtown because I was also working it for the boutique that I'm helping out with their in-house marketing. And I love it because there's fresh strawberries. They have a flower truck pop up.
Oh,
It's
I
so
love that.
cute. Like, it's literally so cute, and I'm like, in another life. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like at one of our very first episodes, we asked each other the question of, like, what would we do if we weren't social media managers? And I can't really remember what I said in that
Mhm.
episode or if I'm making this up in my mind, but I think florist would be
I think that's what you said.
okay,
Yeah.
yes, because again, in high school, they told me that's what I should do, and I was, like, really upset by it, but now I
Mhm.
understand, like,
Mhm.
oh, you need to, like,
Mhm.
have a creative career.
Yeah.
So anyways, but then also they have this fresh lemonade stand, and then tell me if you've ever had one of these or heard of this, but a roadie? Have you ever heard of a ro okay, I had
Well,
never
like,
heard.
I know what a roadie is, like, you're like I don't know if I know it in the right context.
No, no, so tell me what you think, like, what you're thinking.
Okay, guys. I feel like okay, maybe this shows my true roots, but okay, a roadie is like you're like pre-gaming or you're getting ready to go
Okay,
somewhere.
I had also thought, like, okay, so they
Yeah.
said so roti, so ROTI, but
Oh,
when they
okay.
were like, "Oh, Maddie, have you ever had a roadie?" I thought the same thing, like a roadie, like, exactly, so you're not alone in that, and so, like, when they asked me seriously, my boss was like, "Do you want a roadie?" And I, like, was like, "No, like, I'm good," and she's like, "Do you even know what it is?" And I was like, are we talking about the same thing right now? And then she explained, but basically, the best way I can explain it is it's kind of like a breakfast burrito, but it's not because it's a wrap. In the roti, again,
Oh,
ROTI, it's like a specific flatbread essentially, but so good.
oh,
I'll be sure to take a picture and share it with you guys this weekend or next week. Um,
yeah.
because I'm going back this weekend not to work, but to actually enjoy and get my fresh strawberries and my fresh flowers and my little Arnold Palmer and my roadie with Brennan, so I am very excited about that. Um, but yeah, how was your weekend?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And okay, now I'm like so jealous because I live up in New England now and it is not farmers market season. But we did have a good weekend because it's finally warming up. And I know you guys have been warm in Charleston for so long, but we had 80 degrees over the weekend. And when I tell you I planted myself on our rooftop just in the sun, I actually worked, so I got things done, but I'm like, you know what?
Mm,
Like, I'm going to get all of the sun. And so I went up on the rooftop around like 10:30, right before the UV, like, started peaking, if you know, you know, like, I'm a
mm.
Floridian, so, like, I feel like we're, like it's in our soul to, like, always read the UV, of course, wear sun protection always, but to, like, plan out, like, your beach day or your travel day, like, based on how, like, the sun is, the UV and when it's rising and all of that, and it's so different here, like, in New England, like, versus, like, Tampa, just and I'm sure it's very different, like, from Charleston as well, but, like, the peak of the day when it's, like, the most, like, warm or hot or, like, the UV is it's, like, later in the day. Like, it's, like, 3 PM. So it's so much later than, like, obviously, Florida, different climate. Like, you can start like, your heat of the day can literally start at, like, 10 AM. So that's a little weird, like, I feel like adjusting to that, but, other than that, just we enjoyed, like, the weather, which was so nice, and we went to, like, a smaller town nearby, and it was, like, a cute, like, downtown, like, of course, had to go in the bookstore, like, I feel like you go to we talked about this, you go to any, like, new town, you go to the bookstore, and so it was so cute, and they had, like, a bunch of, like, old school, like, candy shops, and, like, they had a gluten-free and vegan bakery, which was
Yum.
so good, and yeah, it was just a fun little weekend, so I think I thought it was this weekend, but unfortunately, like, none of the local farmers markets have updated any of their, like, websites or socials, so I'm not 100% sure, and I probably need to, like, ask someone around me, like, who lives in our building, like, "Hey, do you guys know of any, like, farmers markets that are open?" So, when I looked at, like, the 2023 dates, it was this weekend, like, close to this weekend, so it's either this weekend or next weekend, so I'll have to report back next week on when I can finally make it out to a farmer's market.
Okay, and circling back to the bookstore, did you get any books? And update me on what you're reading right now because
Yeah.
I need our audience to give me some recommendations. I just finished a 600-page book and I obviously have a bunch of to be read books, but none of them are speaking to my soul right now, where I'm just like, they're
Mhm.
good, but it's clearly not. I don't know what genre I'm in the mood for right now.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good. So, okay, I hope and also let us both know what those recs are, 'cause
Yes.
I don't know that I'm necessarily in a reading rut, but I honestly don't have a super long, like, TBR list at the moment, so definitely, like, let us know. Reply to our newsletter, send us a DM, like, tag us in a
Mhm.
story if you're reading something good at the moment, but would definitely love to know what everyone's reading as we kinda get from spring to summer. So, I actually didn't buy a book at the bookstore. I did buy a couple of, like, cards though because we're going
Mm.
to a lot of weddings over the next few months, and so I'm like, I wanna support local, but I am such a Kindle girly these days that I literally took pictures of new arrivals so I could get them on my Kindle. Wait, and I said something to, like, Ryan because he was looking at, like, books for him, and I was like, "Oh, I'm taking a picture of this," I was, like, loud. I was like, "I'm taking a picture of this so I can get it on Kindle," and he's like, "You can't say that in a bookstore," and I'm like, but I'm reading, like, I think they'll appreciate it, like, I buy books on the Kindle store, I'm supporting the authors, so,
Right.
you know, there are some that I can get through my, like, Kindle Unlimited, which I love that, by the way. I feel like if you have a Kindle, like, I think it's definitely worth the investment to, like, get if you're going to and, like, wanna read regularly. Not everything's on it, especially not new releases, but it is cool to have some books that are, like, free for that subscription.
Okay, one last thing I'll say about books too. What's funny is this past weekend, Brennan normally reads as well, but I don't know if he's necessarily in a reading rut, but he
Mhm.
reads a lot of articles. Like
Yeah.
he honestly, I'm like he keeps up with quite a bit of blog
Okay.
posts.
I like that, yeah.
And he like, again, he listens to hit like, he has probably 3 or 4 podcasts that he listens to every week, every day, again, because a lot of the ones he listened to, like, they
Mhm.
have a new episode every day.
Yeah.
Um, but he just bought 2 books on the Kentucky Kentucky
Mhm.
Derby, which is
Oh,
obviously
cool.
this Saturday too, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Are any of them gonna tell you which horse he's gonna win, babe? Like, let me know."
Mhm. I love that. Oh, I love that. I'm sure probably I don't know, have you ever been to the Kentucky Derby? I know it's definitely, like, a bucket list for me.
No, it's definitely bucket list. So again, I'm from Indiana, and our equivalent of the Kentucky Derby is the Indy 500, and I've pretty much gone to every single one of those since I was a kid.
Mhm.
Um, I wanna like it's if my parents and family were listening to this, they'd be like, "You better like, it is who you are," kinda thing, and I'm like, "We're watching cars go around and around for how many laps?" Where it's like, I definitely encourage you, like, it is fun. Like, I think the Kentucky Derby is one of those things that it is on more people's bucket list than the Indy 500, but
Mhm.
if you are looking to have a fun heavily drinking weekend, like,
Mhm.
it's for you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you
but
can come
I
see me.
Yeah, but I agree, like, I would say that it's very, like, equivalent, like, when it comes to, like, sports. I know definitely not this is not equivalent, but, being from, like, Tampa Bay, like, in St. Pete, they do
Nest.
the Grand Prix, which was always
Mm,
cool, and I
mm.
before, like, 2 jobs prior to Social Savvy, I worked for a marketing agency, and it was in downtown St. Pete, so, like, we would literally skip work to, like, go be spectators, and so obviously not the same, like, capacity or yeah, whatever
But
this
still,
has been.
yes,
Yeah.
no, and it's funny because so I grew up where we always had seats in the stands, but
Mhm.
there's definitely a few ways you can do the Indy 500. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but now I'm
No, I
like, this is the I feel like
tell me more.
I
I know
need to
nothing. Yeah, tell me
yeah,
more.
I'm like, I actually feel like I need the Indy 500 to give me, like, I don't know, some sponsorship here if you're
Mhm.
listening. But
Yeah.
so there's definitely a few ways to do the Indy 500. So you have the stands, which majority of the people who sit in the stands are ticket holders and they have been for years.
Mhm.
Then you have the infield, and the infield also is near the snake pit. That is where their younger kids go. You will definitely encounter like a mosh pit in like it is it's sticky. That's the best way
Mhm.
I can explain. It's sticky, okay? It's sticky. And then you have the pavilion where like the Indy 500 princesses are and like all the race car cuz if you think about it, racing is actually quite a luxury sport, and again, where it's like a lot of them like there are very few American drivers, where a
Mhm.
lot of them are like from all around the world.
Right.
And so you have like their wives and families in this beautiful pavilion. So again, where it's like when it's the Indy 500 is the best people watching because unlike the Kentucky Derby where everybody's like dressed to the T's with their hats, Indy 500 you're gonna get short shorts and tank tops. You're gonna get beer bellies, but then you're gonna have somebody in a white dress because like
Mhm.
it's again the checkered flag and
Mhm.
just that I think sums up the Indy 500, which again, honestly does get me excited because
Mhm.
it's just an
Yeah.
indie thing, but yeah,
Yeah. No, I love that.
and then fun fact where it's like, again, where the winner will drink did you know this fact where it's like the winner will drink the milk, which
No.
sounds it's disgusting, but I and again, I forget where that came from, but yeah, they drink milk, so
Oh, interesting.
great advertising for them. Oh, okay, and the last thing I will say, though, the last thing I will say is I am absolutely pumped. So, there's always a few women, but no woman has ever won the Indy 500. I'm hoping to see that by the time I die.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, I
but
think I know what you're gonna say, and I'm so excited for it.
yes,
I
and
saw this recently in a news article.
so Elf
Mhm.
Cosmetics has is the first cosmetics and honestly beauty and in my opinion, female f I 'cause I don't know if Elf is necessarily I need to do the history on Elf, but
Mhm.
they are a sponsor for one of the cars, and I got so pumped, and when I sent that article to Brendan, he's like, "Well, don't get your hopes up, like, she's I if she's listening, like, I am rooting for you." I can't remember her name now. I can't remember the race car
Mhm.
driver's name, but he's like, she's not that great." And I'm like, "I understand," but it's, like, more so, like, the advertising
Mhm.
major in me, the advertiser marketer in me is, like, pumped because I'm like, "That is just so smart," and I've obviously started following the race car driver and just starting to see
Yeah.
what they're doing, and, like, I just have so many ideas that I hope they do, like, I hope she does, like, a quick, like, sweat-proof because in those cars, it is hot. I couldn't
Mhm.
imagine, like, it is hot.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it'd be cute for her to do, like here I say cute, it'd be cute.
Mhm.
I think it'd be smart if they were to do, like, a sweat-proof type, like, would quick and just sweat-proof essentially because
Mhm.
buckets of sweat.
Yeah.
And again, summer months, like, I don't know. I think that'd be cute, but
Yeah.
I personally will be obviously posting a lot more of that as now it's May 1st. What this episode's coming out May uh
6, I believe.
yes,
Yeah.
6, but, like, this May for the Hoosier state is it's big.
Mhm.
It's big.
I love that. No, that's so interesting, and I think it's just cool, like, in everything, in the history behind, like, the Indy 500, but really cool for Elf, like, I think they've done some pretty cool things, I mean, we've talked about so many times on this podcast alone, and we've only been recording for a few months, so I think it's really cool, even if it's even if she doesn't win and it doesn't, like it's like it's the start of, like, new things, and I think, like, women in sports, like, it's
Yes,
something
yes.
that's changing, and even how, like, brands are marketing, like, towards women. I think it's something that needs to, like, speed up. Like
And I think too, like, maybe this is subconscious, like, why Elf decided to do it, but there really aren't a lot of women in racing, and
Mhm,
Brenna and I've always joked with Brenna as, like, we like, somebody in our family needs to put their girls in racing, like, it's weird that nobody has, like, again, it's an expensive sport and also
mhm.
scary sport where I
Yeah,
say that I'm not a mom
yeah,
yet, but, like, those wrecks are
right.
intense, like,
Yeah,
oh, but hopefully it does encourage more girls to look into racing.
mhm. Agreed. I agree. I agree. Oh, that's good. Okay, I feel like there's so many fun things that will come. I know once we kind of get fully into the season of that and just kind of see all the things, and Elf, if you're listening, like, Madeline has some really good ideas for some pre-Indy 500 content, so definitely take that
Yes.
into account. And I think obviously if you were like seeing the title of this episode, once we get to the topic, we'll start talking a little bit more around brand collabs. And I think collabs can be done in so many different levels. And so we'll talk about a couple. And then kind of share some examples on how you can do brand collabs too as a small business, small brand, just, any size that you might be, or how you can kind of leverage brand collabs as a social media manager. And I know we don't have an audio for water cooler this week, but if you missed last week's episode, we had our first ever hashtag hotline, and it was just so fun to have like a recording of the water cooler. And I don't know, it was cool. Like, it was very surreal for us to like play something and then we could give advice and go from there. So quick plug, you can go to hashtagmanage.com, click on hashtag hotline at the very top, and submit a question for the water cooler. We'd love to answer it, provide any support, anything that we can do for that. But that being said, should we dive into this week's water cooler?
Yes. Okay, this week our audience asked, "Has anyone ever been" sorry, has I
You guys,
swear
this is why we need you to submit it.
I
Good.
swear I stutter though every time and I like read it right before. Okay.
Mhm.
Has anyone else been experiencing extremely low engagement recently, specifically on Instagram? I manage an account for a luxury jewelry company and engagement's been declining for a while, but recently it's been absolutely tanking. I keep trying to experiment and modify my strategy, but I can't get us out of this rut. And I'm looking for both tips and also to see if anyone else is experiencing this. Oh, okay. I have a few thoughts.
Mhm.
So, right now, again, we're talking about farmers market and it's like honestly, school's out. It is summer's
Mhm.
officially here.
Yep.
And I always, on every single client account I've ever had, I always see low engagement during the summer months because, again, people
Yep.
are wanting to go outside, spend quality time with their family and friends, and like lay by the pool, go to the beach, vacations. So that could be one thing. Another thing is, again, luxury jewelry, again, I like that they said that they're experimenting because, again, especially I think just how the economy is right now, like, that is something you do need to take into consideration. Um, Obviously, Mother's Day is coming up, so, like, you could I feel like jewelry, it's always going to perform around holidays. I've also never had, obviously, a luxury jewelry account before, but I definitely follow a few, and I feel like that's when I see a lot. Again, it targets me
Mhm.
more around those months. Um, but yeah, those are my first 2 thoughts. What
Yeah.
about you, Jess?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, especially, like, this time of year, it's always something and, I mean, of course, a part of me is like, okay, as a marketer, I'm like, okay, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? But
Mhm.
maybe sometimes you don't fix this, especially if it is seasonal in this approach. Like your audience is spending time off of Instagram, they're not engaging, they're kind of shifting the way that they're, using the app and just using all the apps, to be honest, on their phone. And sometimes it's something that, you don't have to like necessarily fix. I think another thing to consider is that, when we think about engagement that's tanking, sometimes it's like, okay, well, where was it at the start? And this is something that I like to always think about too. And I think it kind of helps me like get back to like basics almost. I'm like, where we were at from the start, is that the best like case scenario for that account in general? Or was there something maybe like out of norm? I know especially like anytime like we take over a new Instagram account, it's always such a learning period at first to learn how the account reacts, like how the account reacts, how Instagram and their algorithm likes what we're doing, like how their audience is engaging. So really kind of learning what's working and what's not working. And then if things are really kind of like tanking down and not doing so well, I always like to, again, lack of a better term, I'm gonna use it again, but get back to the basics of just like think about the people. Like,
Mhm.
who is your audience that you're trying to market to with this luxury jewelry company? And that is how you can like what's the best word? Like, I don't like using the word growth hack because I feel like, ugh,
Ooh.
it's like used so much by like
Ick.
pro marketers. So I'm like, I hate that word. But I like the concept of it. Like, let's think about, okay, who we're marketing to. Like, how do we actually get them to have conversations with us?
And I wanna add on to everything you were saying because what you were saying gave me an idea too, especially about, like, who they're targeting, and I think luxury jewelry actually has 2 again, I don't know. This is why you guys need to give us a little more details in this too, so I can be more specific. But, so when I think luxury jewelry, up until so I'm turning 30 this year. Up until this point in my life, like, I always, like, where 40 to 50-year-olds who, like, have the income to afford luxury jewelry. I'm 30. I'm a millennial. Can I necessarily afford luxury jewelry? No, but also, yes, I think it's one of those things where I'm at a point in my life where I think we even talked about this, Jess, like when you were down here in Charleston, where I now, if I'm gonna buy jewelry, like I do, I want to buy quality jewelry. And now that I live somewhere like
Mhm,
I'm always by the ocean, here's an idea if you have not made content like this I can tell you will hit a mark, I think, with millennials is tell me what jewelry doesn't tarnish
mhm,
or is sweat proof and waterproof because again where it's like I do enjoy wearing my jewelry to Pilates. Like I am that 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 biche. Like I wanna be that mom. Like
mhm,
I like want to be the mom. So like that's why I have like permanent jewelry, because like it's
mhm,
what gold filled, but like, where again, luxury jewelry, there is a wide range where again, I think that wide range is also going to tell you who the target like is it the boomers?
mhm,
Is it Gen X? Is it millennial? Because again, millennial you have to remember millennials now, like we are starting to work up the ladders, I guess, or
mhm,
at least we're trying to. We're trying to bring in the money. But I don't know. I think too where if you're not marketing this luxury jewelry in a way that you're telling people how they can wear it in the summer without damaging it, like, that to me is a very big selling point. And again, where it's like, maybe you in that strategy, you, like, think of it in 3 tiers too, or, yeah, I feel like tiers is a good example where it's like you
mhm,
have the millennials, so it's gonna be on the not cheaper side, obviously not cheap, but, on the lower ball spectrum.
Yeah.
Then you have the middle for the Gen X, and then you have the highest for the boomers.
Mhm.
And obviously, again, you have milestones too, and I think that talking about, like, push presents, like,
Mhm.
again,
Yeah,
millennials, we're getting in, like,
yeah.
where it's, like, giving them, like, trying to get into the male demographic too, because and that's another thing. I think that back in the day, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, and again, the audience, like, would love to know your guys' thoughts too, but my dad bought my mom jewelry, but my mom was a boss bish again,
Mhm.
and she bought her so there are some pieces that she bought herself when she, like, got bonuses and things like that. So I think you also have to remember where while, yes, like, a male may buy, or just a partner in general
Mhm.
may buy their significant other a piece of jewelry, but we're also in the day and age where it's like, "Oh, I just signed a big client. Oh, I just did this," and it's like, we're gonna buy it for ourselves. And
Mhm.
so, like, I think that those are 2 different messages as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love
I hope that
that.
helps. But I, like, now I'm like,
Mhm.
I really wanna know what this jewelry,
Mhm.
like, and again, if you are listening and wanna, like, DM us, like, I just now I'm just like, I wanna see it. Now I wanna just see and, like, look at all the pretty jewelry because, like I said,
Mhm.
definitely I'm even myself, now it's my phone is for sure going to be showing me how so many ads about, like, tarnish and waterproof jewelry, and honestly, I'm here for it.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. No, that was so good. Okay, I think you gave so many, like, good actionable things, which is why this is, like, one of my favorite, like, segments. I know it's our first one that we do, but it's just yeah, I think spot on, like, in really, like, thinking about, like, who it is that's, like, being marketed to, and then that's where so many different ideas can come from messaging and content and just really getting, like, super specific. And I think one thing, like, as marketers that I think is one of our, like, best skills that we can have is, like, asking questions to your clients to, like, know, like, okay, like, who is buying these jewelry pieces or who is, like, 90% of your clientele, like, what do you know about them? Different things like that, and then
Mhm.
even if you don't if they don't have that data, if they don't know those answers, like, asking people who are millennials and Gen X and boomers, like, in your own life, like, what have you invested in when it comes to, luxury, like, jewelry pieces? Like, what matters to you? Like, what do you look for? Where are you buying from? And then kind of creating, like, like, your own little, like, library of different things. So, anyway, all that to say, I think all of that was spot on.
Also, if our listeners, if you guys actually have any jewelry companies that you guys follow that have good tarnished waterproof, like,
Mhm.
DM us, hit us up. I wanna know.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanna know.
Mhm. Yes, agreed. Agreed on that as well. Awesome. Okay, let's dive into what's on our feed because I know we have some pretty cool things on our feeds, and one of them is gonna segue us perfectly into our topic for today around brand collaborations. But I want to talk about a post that creator shared. And this is something that is just, oh, okay. So many thoughts, but
I'm so excited for this. I'm sorry. Like, when I saw that you put this in, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait." I feel like I need my little cup of coffee, like tea, because I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm so ready for you to just give me all your thoughts and opinions on this.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so I'll say I'm gonna read some parts of this. There is a ton of copy in this, so I'm not gonna bore you guys and
Mhm.
read the whole thing. But creators posted a day ago. So last day of April is when they posted if you're kind of scrolling in their feed because they know we're, posting like first week of May for this episode. So it's a really big pink first slide, title slide, updates to recommendations and originality. You guys are probably already thinking. So I want to read what's in the caption. There's a ton of stuff in the actual carousel itself, but follow creators if you're not already. Like, go read it. It's really, really great. We'll definitely share it to stories as well, like on our podcast Instagram. So, creator said, today we're announcing 4 changes to how we rank content to give all creators a more equal chance of breaking through to new audiences. So, the 4 bullets that they say: 1. A new input to ranking that will give smaller creators more distribution. 2, replacing reposts with original content in recommendations. 3, adding labels to reposted content, linking to the original creator. I'm like chomping at the bit to like discuss this with Madeline, but let me
Mhm.
finish the fourth one. Removing content aggregators from recommendations. Okay, guys, I have so many thoughts. My first thing is that meta, meta, like Madeline and I consult, and we can certainly like join the board to consult on these things. Um,
Please,
There are
please.
so many different things that need to happen on Instagram to make Instagram a better app for, and I get it, your business, you want to make money. We're marketers, we want to help our clients make money. If you're a small business listening, you want to make money off of Instagram. And if you're a consumer, you just want to enjoy the app. Okay? You don't care about all of this crazy, crazy things that, Meta releases in hopes of what? In hopes of what? Um, I do wanna read a comment first that I think is so funny. It's by at Rocket in Squash. I'm not sure who that creator is, but just wanted to give credit where the credit's due to their hilarious comment. Got 1,000 likes, by the way, so it's really good. They said, "Have you considered simply showing reels to an account's followers so that those who have already decided they're interested and have proactively opted in, albeit maybe years ago, get to see it?" So I love that comment because I think it just speaks to the whole comment section. And as we all know, in 2024, the comment section is where it's at. It's where you do your social listening. It's where you learn from your audience. It's where you do your market research across the board on any app, regardless of Instagram. So this update is super interesting to me. Um, I think to Instagram's point, from my POV, I think their perspective of giving more creators a chance to break through, I think I'm calling BS. Like I'm hitting the BS button. Like
Mhm.
we don't have one, but like if we
Red
do,
flag. I like.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
no. That to me is I don't even know if this is like the right context I should even be using it, but to me it's like giving like fear mongering in marketing when you're like trying to make the small creators like we're helping you, but like you're not actually giving us tools and features that need to happen to make our lives as a business owner or a marketer on Instagram to be better. So that's where my first thought comes from it. I think the biggest thing about it, and this is something that Madeline and I talk about all the time. I mean, like Madeline just gave so many of these ideas in the water cooler alone. And we're going to talk about a bunch too with brand collaborations when we get into the topic of this episode. But I think to Instagram's point about rewarding original content, I think if you learn anything from this post from creators, like don't even think about it as like a stamp of approval from Instagram and Meta, like, oh, I need to post that. But it's just something original content across the board will, in my opinion, and I would love to have the debate in Facebook or just discussion if anyone has any thoughts around it too. I think original content is the best way to stand out on any platform. And I know that term stand out is so overused when it comes to marketing, but it's one of the ways that I think you can stand out. You can wow your audience, people who see your content by actually, I don't know, giving them something they want to see, entertaining them, educating them, connecting with them, inspiring them. It's just something to really like think about with that. But it's also, in my opinion, it's probably what I would attest to, like, my success with, like, being a social media manager is I think I'm really great at creating original content for clients. Like, I have a lot of conversations with clients, and I I love a trend. I love a cool video to recreate things like that, but when I tell you guys that's probably 10% of my strategies across the board, like it's super super low. I know for some people and maybe you're listening and I'm not downplaying at all. I know it might be 100%. It might be 90%. It might be a lot, but for me, I think my strong suit in a creator is creating original content. So, I think if you read anything from this carousel is that original content is great. It's what's needed. Now, the fact that Instagram has publicly said, and I'm anxious to see what this looks like, but they'll be replacing reposts with original content and recommendations. tell me how Instagram's AI is supposed to be so spot on about this. I don't know.
No, that's my biggest that is was my biggest. I'm like, "How's that gonna work? How's that gonna work?" Because I'm like, I like that idea because I don't know about you guys, but, like, so let's say a trending sound, okay? But then you start to see where it's like, so like, I'm gonna use the beauty industry
Mhm,
because I again, where it's like, that's a lot of what's on my feed, and it will be like a POV, I can't think of a good one, but so I see it once,
mhm,
and then all of a sudden, another salon in another state or down the road or whatever, they just copy and paste.
mhm,
They copy and paste, and like it does bother me.
mhm.
Or even let's not even say the same industry, but like it's like
Oh,
same
yep,
sound,
yep,
same words, but it's a different industry. I'm with you. I'm like, how is that gonna work? Because I like the idea of that, but how is your AI going to track that? I
yeah.
don't I don't have that much faith in you guys. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
here's a good one. I'm reading the comments. It's really spot on close to what you just mentioned, Madeline. This person said, "Hi, what about photographers? We routinely post photos of others
Mm,
that we took, but if our clients, aka the people in the photos, post them first, will we get penalized for it?" Yeah, I'm sorry,
mic
I think
drop.
if an AI is
Mic
gonna work,
drop.
an AI is going to definitely do that. So it's like, okay, now is it going to turn into, like, a race to get to, like, posting these first? I mean, wow, talk about
Mhm.
something that is probably going to backfire and not be executed so properly, but yeah, that to me is just it it's just crazy, and then adding labels to the reposted content, linking to original creators, I think this is
Also,
something. Yeah, go ahead.
also like how what scares me too is like, what if it's like it is original, but how do we how do I want to say this? Like, as marketers, you and
Mhm,
I have the especially you and I, Jessica, like, we preach, like, like, the same
mhm.
things, like, the same
Yeah,
concepts, and just like you said, we both like, again, I think I would agree with Jessica. I think both Jessica and I's strongest suit, and you can disagree, but, like, we both like, since the beginning, like, original content, like, I've mentioned before some of Jessica's, like, OG posts, like,
mhm,
I will never forget back in the day, got so like, it was ripped off
mhm.
and, like,
Oh, wait,
made me so
Instagram, don't
mad.
put the tag on those. Thank you.
That, please, please, because I'm sure they'll circle around, like,
Mhm.
oh, 100%.
Yeah,
But, it's just I don't know where I was going with that, but
yeah,
something to do with originality, though,
yeah,
because,
but where does
again, where it's like no, you go.
I was just gonna add, where does it stem from, right? Like, is
Yes.
Instagram going to reward the creator who ripped off I'm sorry, the Instagram Reel creator who ripped off the original TikTok creator who created that trend?
Yeah.
Is Instagram gonna ro so
Mm.
to me, that is, like
Mm.
that's such a big thing, right? I mean, how many times do you go and I mean, TikTok's not perfect either, like, Instagram, TikTok, you look at both and you're like, "I can see contents this is stolen from that, this is stolen from that," like,
Yep.
sometimes you can actually connect it, like, if you know about that pop culture reference or if you know about that creator or that person, but, yeah, it's it's very messy. It's very,
Mhm.
very messy, and I think it's it's one thing that it's gonna be interesting for okay, you know, it's gonna be so good for now that I'm thinking about it, and guys, this is where the tea is getting a little bit hot. Um, but I'm okay saying this. Think about all of the social media Instagram gurus who all they create are Instagram reels. Here's how you do this trend. And they're stealing a trend from someone else. So there goes
Please.
the credibility
Oh,
for.
yep, yep.
Oh my
I can
goodness.
think yep.
Okay, I need to compose myself, guys, because I'm giggling, like, too much about that. I thought that was so funny, but it's a real thought, you know? I mean, we all follow those people, and, hey, sometimes I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I like it because if I'm trying to find an audio that I've heard on TikTok, I know if I go to these people,
Oh, 100, and they'll
they have
have
it.
it.
Yeah. So, okay, that'll make me they'll still post it, so I'll still be able to find it, but yeah, just food for thought.
Something I've tried to okay, here's just a quick little tip for you guys though, is so something because I feel like I found a lot of the DJs, on TikTok,
Mhm.
like they're making so many cool like Taylor Swift mashups and things.
Yeah.
I've made sure, like again, where it's like making sure to give the original creator the content, I make sure to go to their Instagram because oftentimes they have uploaded it to their Instagram too. And it's
Yeah.
just like, but some people don't think so. Here's your tip where it's like, if you find a trending sound on TikTok, go to that like click on the little audio, see where it came from, and
Mhm.
like try and find like the DJ or whoever,
Yeah.
like even the creator, like if it's a voice, like see, because chances are they probably did upload it to their Instagram as well.
Yep.
So then again, again, to me, I think there are ways that you can still like that's cute, Instagram. That's cute, but I think we all need to have like a quick social media etiquette as well, where it's like you guys should have already been giving creators credit where credit was due, where it's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I this idea stemmed from the Buzzing Blonde," that's where it's like, ag because to me, that's a compliment,
Mhm.
where it's like, if I inspired you in some way to then go and create, like, your own similar like, I'll be less mad, in all honesty. So
Mhm.
anyways, give credit where credit's due. So, like, yeah, go to that DJ's, Instagram and use it from there and not some
Yep.
Karen in Idaho who, like, somehow like, did the sketchy like, honestly, are we back in the 2000s where we're
Mhm.
what is it? Line what was it? What was li line
LimeWire? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
line wiring these
Yep.
trending sounds, like, my god.
I love that. Oh my gosh. That's like a that's that
I literally just aged myself so hard.
yeah. We've been doing that all day though. Like, if you guys
Yeah.
were listening in on our planning meeting before, we were definitely aging ourselves. But, okay, last thing I wanna share about this because I thought this was so interesting, and I'll go find it, but because I realized I follow one of these people, on TikTok, and so I was, like, looking on my, like, friends, yeah, my friends tab on TikTok, and so I saw this video of this person who shared and I can't remember specifics about this TikTok, but I'll tell you guys what I do remember the specifics about because 'cause I'm like, "This is crazy." Someone shared something related to like Taylor Swift and marketing. Okay. And I was like listening and I was like, okay. And to be honest, I did not watch the whole video. I scrolled past it. It was one of those things like if I can't hold down the 2x and watch the video at a good speed, I keep scrolling if someone can't get the point across. And the next video was like someone had commented on that first video. And so they did a video reply, as like a TikTok to that comment. Someone commented that they just posted about Taylor Swift in marketing and whatever the specific topic was about in a video on TikTok like a few days ago. And this person jumped to the assumption because this person follows them that they just stole it, stole the idea. And I'm sitting there, guys. I'm like, wait a minute. This person's coming for Taylor Swift and marketing. I'm like, Madeline and I are screwed. I'm like, we just did a podcast on this. We've done multiple. And I'm thinking to myself, like, so I go and I watch that video that this person is accusing. Cause like I've seen videos like that on TikTok before. All seen it on Reels, right? We've seen people rip off content and that creator calls them out. And I go watch the video and it's very different. It's just on the topic, and so I go back to the video and I'm watching the, like, apology video, and which I feel like is, something that we now have from cancel culture, right? Like, we have apology videos, and this creator's apologizing and saying, "I should have gave credit where credit's due, but I'm gonna give credit now to this person. They did a video a couple days ago," and I'm just, like, thinking to myself, like, but you actually didn't take the idea from this creator. But now we're giving this creator a platform because they're talking about something that, I'm sorry, is not that original, like Taylor Swift and marketing. Like we're all talking about it.
Oh, talk yeah,
And
literally.
and then in the comments that creator who made that assumption that it was stolen from them, they commented like, "Oh, I didn't need you to do this video, but I so appreciate it." And I'm like, if you're gonna leave like a
Here
harsh comment,
little violin, like,
right.
literally
Yeah. Insert that, yeah.
Mhm.
No, but again, it kind of stems back to, like, Madeline's point, like, again, we're both social media managers, like, we obviously, like, collaborate like crazy, but it's like, we get ideas, like, from each other, and I think, like, that's something that, like, us all the social media managers, like, listening, like, we all have the same ideas, like, maybe you guys did a post around Taylor Swift and marketing. I think that would be really cool if you haven't done it yet, like, do an email, do a post, like,
Mhm.
talk about it, like, share that with your audience, like, but anyway, I think it all stems back to the question of is, like, where is that first point of originality? Um,
You just beautifully said, like, that was, like, what I was trying to get across, though, because yeah,
yeah,
because again, I feel like the originality and, again, collaboration somewhat gets blurred too, like, and again, why the one feature that I am, like, thankful for that Instagram has come out with is the collaboration,
yeah,
like,
agreed.
real and but
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's one thing that I wish Instagram would do, and I just don't know, like, I don't know. In my head, I would love if you could, like, collaborate on a post or a reel after the fact. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just feel like sometimes it's like I don't know, sometimes I feel like there's things that and maybe it's just I'm thinking, like, selfishly of, like, our own kind of scenario, and we have our Instagram for, like, the podcast, like, I don't know, there's things that I think that we post, and then kind of after the fact, I'm like, "Oh, that could maybe be, like, a cool collaboration," or, like, maybe collectively, I, like, see a post with someone else, or I don't know, I think there's probably I could probably give better, like, more personal examples than that, but I think that that's something that could be approved, be better than this whole thing from creators. But anyway, definitely follow creator at creators on Instagram if you haven't already. They post a lot of things. Some are helpful, some are not, but it's always good to stay in the know about that. But okay, let's dive into collaborations. And spoiler alert, I'm giving away what's on Madeline's feed. But do you
Okay,
want to share?
yes. Yes. So, okay, so if you guys haven't seen, and if you guys are just now tuning in, like this is your first hashtag managed episode that you're listening to, Jessica and I are both, I would say, both love and enjoy an espresso martini.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I saw this collaboration between 818 Tequila and Chamberlain Coffee, right? Is
Mhm.
Chamberlain Coffee, genius. What is our chef's kiss, stamp of approval, like beautifully done. Oh my gosh. So first of all, okay, few thoughts. So first of all, 818 is Kendall Jenner's brand company. Again, we're Swifties here, but I wanted to hate this, but also and I wanted to hate her tequila too, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Her 818 is very smooth. Like
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
like it is like I could sip on 818.
Mhm.
Anyways, not that I'm like that,
It's
not that
back to
I'm
our
choosing
roadies.
violence.
We need a
Yeah.
road of it.
But I was just I the Instagram, okay, let's just start with like the Instagram. Beautiful. We all know that I personally I am here for an aesthetic feed
Mhm.
grid. Like to me, mm, yummy. Love it. And then I just there again, let's talk target audience. Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
It's like again where you have like when you can peel back the layer, it's like the layers of an onion. And like so let's go with like Swifties too, where it's like Taylor Swift has said how like she was a Grey's Anatomy like fan and just like crime shows. Like again, where it's like she's getting into the crime show layer of junkies of the Swifties. So this to me again, um what is now I'm drawing a blank on her name, but Chamberlain, what's her first name?
Emma.
Emma, thank you. Like, people love her. Like, I never did watch her YouTube videos, but I feel like she like, again, where she's like I would put her in the category of one of the OG YouTubers.
Mhm.
So, like, again, where she's had a following from different phases of her life up until now, and I think that's important because if you are, subscribed to the Monday Buzz and just my newsletter in general, like, I talk about, like, how, like, my layers of being a Swiftie, like, has brought me here, and I just think that is so important. That was a tangent. But I'm just in love because again, so what makes this collaboration so beautiful to me is also I have to admit, I've actually never had a tequila espresso martini and like now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Now I want to like I've always just had a vodka espresso martini. And so I think that again, I feel like maybe they realize that where it's like, oh, again, if you're like me, didn't realize that you could do a tequila espresso martini, like, now I'm like, that's top of mind. Now
Mhm.
I'm gonna be like, "Oh," like, when I'm at a restaurant, I'll be like, "Can I actually?" And again, I feel like that was Kendall's thought process too, like, when you're at a restaurant and you're asking for an espresso martini, now my thought would be like, "Do you have 818?
Yep.
Like, can I actually try an 818 espresso martini?"
Mhm.
Genius.
Yeah. So good.
Genius.
So good. I actually love Emma Chamberlain, and I used to watch her YouTube videos, like, religiously when she was, like, posting them and all of that, and she's definitely, I know, in a different season of life now, but I when she launched Chamberlain Coffee, I was like, I'm obsessed. Like, it was just so good, and that was, of course, when I was in my deep, deep coffee era, which I no longer am, but I still, still love coffee, but, it just the way, like, she cultivated her brand at such a young age was just so, so good,
Mhm.
and I think it's just one thing that, like, you think 818, you think Kendall Jenner. You think Chamberlain Coffee, obviously it's within the name, but like, you can put a face to Emma Chamberlain, whether you, like, know her from her YouTube days, whether
Mhm.
you know her as, correspondent at the Met Gala, like, however you know Emma Chamberlain in your walk of life, or maybe there's some other way that you know of her, but, I think it
Actually, I know of her because of, like it's funny because I feel like her YouTube I feel like I knew that you liked her original YouTube videos,
Mhm.
and there was this girl in high school who I remember, like I love her. Aoife, if you're listening to this, I literally love you. You're so cool. But seriously, like, Aoife was, like, the blogger, like
Ooh, cool. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Where it's, like, again, where it's, like, her I always put her and I in the category of, we we followed some of the OG like, we to us, we were the original cool girls, but, like, not in high school, if that makes any sense. But, like, she watched her YouTube videos, I believe, and I feel like that is how
Mhm.
I remember
Yeah.
Emma. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Oh, I love that.
so I feel like association too, like, it's
Yep.
almost like her following, like, where it's like you have a friend who, loves Emma.
Mhm. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed, yeah. Even, the collab, like, itself, like, even the collab together is just so good. I think it's just 2 people who are just so good about their brands, about their businesses.
Mm.
To Madeline's point, now you're gonna go into a bar, restaurant, like, anywhere across the US, and so many people are, they're gonna be, ordering, an espresso martini with tequila. Because there's some people I was reading in the comments of that video, like, some people were like, "No, I really love it." Like, it's actually, like, a better option, and because over vodka, right? Like, it's a vodka-based drink,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
And, yeah, no,
Mhm.
I think it's so good. So I actually like it because I am actually, like, a tequila, like, that's my, like, alcohol of choice. Like,
Mhm.
I'm a big
Mhm.
margarita girl. Like, Cinco de Mayo's coming up, so, like, this is my
Yes.
day. I'm just kidding. But,
Yes.
but again, I've never tried, like, an espresso martini with tequila in it, and so I think it kind of opens the doors for that. And I just the way they executed the collaboration, I think is just it's so good, and and I know we've talked about collaborations on here before, and, like, I think probably, like, every other day, like, Madeline, Harmony, and myself are slacking each other or Instagram DMing each other, like, "Okay, have you seen this collab? Have you seen this collab?" Like, it's so, so cool. Like, it's just one of those things that I think you could definitely start branching into as a social media manager. Like, I think, I'm, like, diving, like, head first into the topic of today, but, one thing that I think is really cool is if you have any clients, that you can kind of connect like to each other in collaborations. I think this works. I know we have a lot of people in our community who are like really local based, and whether you feel like you live in a really small town, I know we have a couple of people in really small towns in America, and we have some people who live in like one of the biggest cities. It's something that you can connect like a business to anyone, and I think there's really like there's no, like, one perfect size for a collaboration. Like, I know when we say, like, Chamberlain Coffee and 818, obviously, they're pulling out all the stops, there's Kardashian Jenner money behind that, like, it's a
Mm.
huge, beautiful executed campaign, aesthetics, like Madeline mentioned, on par, we love that, but I think there's a way that you can collaborate, like, on smaller levels as well.
And okay, I want to say one more thing before we really dive into the collaboration topic.
Yeah.
Dare I say though, like out of all the Kardashian and Jenner brands, 818 is my favorite. And obviously I know they have a team. And so like if you are one of their team members, look at us. We always act as if like you all are listening, like these big people. But you know, like one day they will be. One day they may circle back to this episode and be like, oh, these girls are really cool. But anyways,
Yeah.
like 818's like is my favorite marketing. Like I think looking obviously the Skims like yes they understand their target market, but to me I feel as if, and I could be totally wrong, but it truly feels like Kendall's brand, like that she understands her target market. And again I feel like is actually it sits in on these meetings and maybe not, and maybe that's just me applauding their marketing team, like, where it's like, "Oh," where it's like, you have no idea, like, no, she's not in on these meetings, but, like, you're doing a great job of, like, making it appear that way.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so anyways, definitely check out 818's, like, socials because beautiful, maybe you might get some inspiration, again, inspiration, not copying from
Mhm.
them.
Agreed.
Um,
Agreed, or you're going to get a badge on your
yeah,
that's yeah,
yeah, so
yeah, it's not a stamp of
uh,
approval. But, yeah.
okay, but yeah, so no, and so let's dive into the collaborations though. And I want to circle back to what you're saying too about our audience, you know, being in small, like have smaller businesses living in not rural areas, but like small towns. To me, what I always like to tell clients, because again, I have a lot of small business clients where just because you're a small business doesn't mean you can't have Fortune 500 marketing.
Oh,
And like that's an OG, okay? Like I'm
I
just saying, I've never ever seen anybody else say that. So like
that's
give
a
credit where
mic
credit's
drop, we're
due.
quoting that, you
Right.
heard it here first. No, but that's
I've definitely posted that too, but I think where again, a lot of times when I would talk to clients, it's in it comes back to a limiting mindset in my opinion too, where it's just like, oh, not necessarily like woe is me, but it's like, oh, like we're nobodies, but it's like no, but, like, you are to your town, like, yeah, you are, like, if you're a boutique and you're bringing in the trends, like, let's go. I guarantee you that there are
Mhm,
those influencers who the wannabe influencers, and I hate saying wannabe, like, they're just, like, waiting, like, they're nervous themselves and are scared themselves to, like, put themselves out there, and maybe they're just looking for a post for you to post, "Hey, we're looking for models. Hey, we're looking for" people to collaborate with. And a good example I actually have is Kimber, who honestly we just need to have her on
mhm, at this point,
one
yep.
day because at this point she is we all know who Kimber is. But
Mhm.
she just put out on her Instagram that they were looking for models for a specific like they're doing bangs. I think there were like 5 um hairstyles that they're wanting to try. And to me, I'm like, oh, and also it was so funny. I'll put it in our newsletter too. But one of them, again, they're doing classes. The reason why they're looking for classes or models is because they're taking classes on these specific like
Oh,
techniques.
oh, I love
And so like it's like speaking to not only their current audience, like their current customers and followers, But also, if there's been people who are in the market for a new salon, a new hairstylist, a new hair, like, that could have been, like, their, "Oh, I'm gonna finally make the move." And it was funny because they were looking for models for bangs, and their Instagram stories were so cute. So, like, they listed out the 5 hairstyles and then, like, did a little video to, like, showcase, like, an example of it,
Mhm.
and bangs was one of them. And so as I'm, like, leading up, in my head, I was thinking, "I'm gonna be so mad if I'm not the example in this video slide." And then I was, and
Mhm.
I messaged her, I was like, "I was gonna be so pissed." She was like, "No," like, obviously. But anyways, circling back, where who's to say, like, seriously, like, you can don't like, I wanna say think small, but, like, think big because, again, where eh a good example, I don't ever give Indiana actually enough credit,
Mhm.
honestly, like, I was the girl who wanted to get out of Indiana.
Mhm.
I went to school in Chicago. I'll never forget when I was in Chicago and people are like, "Oh, where else did you apply to school?" Majority of the kids I talked to applied to Purdue, IU, Butler, Notre Dame, and I will never forget that moment thinking to myself, "Oh, Indiana actually has a lot of good schools that I never gave it
Mhm.
credit for." I just knew I was like, "This is," again, I think a lot of people, and if you're listening, where it's like sometimes you wanna spread your wings and fly and, like, get out of your hometown.
Yeah.
But I will also, when influencer marketing became a thing, I kid you guys not, some of the most, I don't wanna say famous, but
Mhm.
very big fashion influencers, I guarantee you, like, are from Indiana. I
Mhm.
kid you not, and maybe that, but, like, now I'm gonna try and find some examples, but I just, again, at the time where I'm like, "We're Indiana, we're not LA, we're not New York. What do you mean you guys are, like,
Mhm.
actually becoming big? What?"
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about because I know, like, even, like, way back when, like, bloggers were a thing on their own blogs and their own platforms, and then Instagram came, and then they started going over there, like, I remember, like, short periods, like, people that I would follow, like, I would read their blogs, I'd be on their newsletters, and then they're like, "Hey, I'm on this cool new app called Instagram," and I'm, like, over there, and I'm like, "Okay," like, I'm following them, and then 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, like, 15 months down the road, okay, they have 500,000 followers, and now these are the people who have millions and millions of followers on Instagram because they but yeah, no, I completely agree. I think you're
Mm,
like, spot on with that take. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, I love that, and that's so I love that collab that, yeah, definitely need Kimber on the podcast because we shout out on all the episodes, but there's so many ways that we could, like, we could, I know we joked about it, and we took some cool photos about it, but we could definitely pick Kimber's brain on a couple of things, but I think definitely, like, brings great insight. So I actually, like, okay, last night when I was, like, cooking dinner, I just, like, got inspired and I was thinking of a lot of different collaborations that I think a lot of, like, clients, like, our listeners, like, our social media managers, have these clients, and so these are some things that I have. So I'm gonna just, like, fire them away. And I definitely, like, Madeline, if you have any, like, take on them, definitely, like, want to, like, hear. But I know a lot of people, like, in our audience work with a lot of, like, coaches or, like, B2B that I know, like, B2B people, so, like, business to business, like, they
mhm.
provide a service, obviously coaching is a service, like, I know from a lot of them, they're always stuck with, like, content and content, so in my head, I'm like, "Okay, let me start with this one first because this one feels, like, really hard to pull out a collaboration for." So a couple of ideas that, like, came to mind is if you're, like, a business coach or work with a business coach, I think there's a couple of ways that, like, you can it's actually funny, one of the things that I put on here as well, but so if you're a business coach, like, you could connect with, like, a local, like, stationer or I don't know if there's, like, a better word for people who build planners and journals, but you could build, like, a physical product that could take your, like, coaching or your service, and you could make it tangible. Like, so a couple of other ideas I put, like, business coach who always preaches, like, how to grow your revenue, like, create a revenue, like, planner, income tracker, like, marketing, content calendar,
Mm.
journal, book,
Mhm.
like planner. I said planner, but I felt like I said that so many times in that. But like make something super tangible. Like you collaborate with a small business who can like physically bind that planner together, supporting that business, right? Because like how often do you know of like, so you are a business coach, you give this to your clients who also run local businesses. They know this stationer, and then they're like, wait, I need new marketing collateral. Wait, I need business cards. Wait, I need signage for the farmer's market or whatnot. Like, boom, connected. Like, that's where I feel like my brain kind of thinks about collaborations. I was also thinking too, if you're like a business coach or like tangible. And I also wrote down as well, I know it's not really the same, but I was thinking B2B service providers. Say you work with like a website designer or like a branding expert. Uh, why am I thinking of not the best way to say it?
Mhm.
But you guys know what I mean. You offer a service like that. You could create like a physical, like tangible like thing as well. That could be like maybe it's like a quarterly planner that you give your clients that you collaborate with the stationer, and it's like every quarter checklist, update your website. Look, like, are these website pages indexed on Google? Like, add new pages, update your hours. Like, I don't know, so many different thoughts that could come from that. But it's like you could make things tangible that don't feel tangible in like a collaboration in that sense. I was also thinking like if you are a business coach or service provider or anything like B2B, like connect with places who have brick and mortars. So like connect with
Mm,
coffee shops
mhm.
who have um freelancers, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs either working there or coming in for their daily cup of coffee. Like host a workshop, like host like a coffee chat, like something like that. I also wrote down like connect with local salons, like if they offer booths. Okay, business coach, train those stylists on all best practices of business and marketing. Like I just feel like there's so many different ways that you can like collaborate that's like tangible but also like things that you could offer like in person. And I don't know, those are just some ideas. I have a couple more, but definitely want to hear your like initial thoughts.
No, I love that because I love what you said about brick and mortars. I think that is key here because again, I think a lot of what Jessica and I preach, maybe we don't discuss it enough, but we will, is again where again, tell me if you don't say this, Jessica, but I feel like I have heard you say it, but I always like to remind clients where it's like the whole point of social media too is to take them off social media onto a website, into your store. And so where I'm going with the whole brick and mortars is find that community. So like two, if you know you're like maybe you start a book club and host it at the salon. Again, I'm because Kimber does that, where it's just
Ooh, I
like,
love
and
that.
it's so smart because I'm just like, oh my gosh, where it's like, think about it too, salons especially, where it's like
Mhm.
you would go there for the town gossip, like who's who, what's, and I mean, what's what,
Mhm.
and that's not necessarily the case anymore, but it can't like we can tap into that psychology and I just feel like so we've lost that. Again, we're and maybe you disagree, maybe you agree, but it's just like personally, like I feel like so many small businesses specifically have forgotten that, like that root, like the like home
Mhm.
root of like why you started your business. And yes, you had your why, but I guarantee we could trace it back to community and feeling
Yeah.
accepted and seen and heard.
Mhm.
Um No, but continue. No, I love these ideas, but
I love that.
especially love the coffee store, the coffee chats too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, continue. I love this.
Okay. No, and I like your point around community, connection, and also the other thing you said too, like get people in the door. Like get them in the door.
Yes,
Yeah.
and because like that's something I've been talking about with the boutique owner too, where we've been discussing like online exclusives, but obviously the brick and mortar, like it thrives. It thrives because again, down here in Charleston, and here's an idea for you guys. If like in your town, you guys don't have something, what I'm about to tell you guys, maybe you start it. So here in Charleston, there's always the first Friday
Mhm.
and then the second Sunday yeah, so, like, the first Friday and the second Sunday, like, basically King Street gets shut down, essentially, and small businesses come and set up it's like a farmer's market again, but it's more for, like, local artists, and again, I understand it's Charleston, like, we are very Charleston is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not finding the word, but, like, artists, like,
Mhm,
again, and if you think back in the day, like, people would come from the boats, like, with their fabrics and stuff from, like, India and stuff, like, and that
mhm,
still very much so is the case, I feel like, where you're gonna find a lot of original things
mhm.
here. Um,
Yeah.
and that's just a side note, if you ever are in Charleston, like, if you're wondering what you should buy, I would highly recommend buying art. Like that again, where I
Mhm,
don't know. Sometimes I always feel like when I go somewhere, I'm like, "What do I wanna buy that" Ooh, ooh, here's another idea. Okay, because that just made me think, why not partner or collaborate with a local artist to do, like so you know how we have graphics? This is an idea that I've been wanting to, like, actually execute myself, but I'm giving it to you guys where you can take it, like, I'm not gonna be offended.
mhm,
But more specifically, watercolor artists where okay, I had this idea for Earth Month, Earth Day, we couldn't make it happen, but I wanted our grid to be very watercolor, like, where there were, like, um, I'm saying graphics with air quotes, but basically art on the grid where it was, like, sustainability practices, but where it looked like a very big canvas.
mhm,
But again, where it's just, like, even with graphic designers too, because that's gonna get their name out there, where it's just, like, why not? Again, as social media managers, like, I feel like this is an idea for social media managers collaborating with local artists and local illustrators.
mhm.
That could be something.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's an idea.
Okay, I know I need to get to my list, and if I keep giving all these other ideas, I'll, like, get away from it, but I promise. One thing that would be so cool, it involves collaborating with an artist or illustrator, like, for your local town, like, where your client is. Find that artist illustrator, create, like, a town map or a town drawing, and almost like
Yes!
you watch, like, TikTok
Mm.
videos, it's like the top 10 places to go in Charleston, boom, 10 businesses you collaborate with, you create this little
Okay,
puzzle.
actually, nobody can take this, I'm taking this, we're doing this. Actually, nobody does
And
this.
then it's something that it's like a flyer, like, okay, let's think, like, old school, like, marketing. Okay, you could put you could put, like, fun QR codes on the businesses, like, each business could have a special offer to get these people in, right? Like, come into the boutique, 10% off, not me, like, telling you guys, like, what to do. But, like, you could collaborate with other businesses, and then you all display this, and then, "Oh, look at that. New people coming in the doors," like, it just keeps going around, so, okay, I just thought of that idea, so Madeline's gonna implement it, and she's gonna let us know how that goes.
Yeah, no, I love that, I actually love that because I already have a few local artists that I, like, when I'm like, "Ooh, they could do that and would do that for me," I think.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, there we go. One idea. Okay, let me get through the rest of this list. There's only
Yes,
3
yes.
things, so I'm letting
Okay,
it off,
okay.
but, um, okay, so the next thing that I put we kinda talked about this, like, with talking about influencers, but I put boutiques, but I love my idea of the map, but I'll say I put, collaborate with, um influencers and content creators, yes, but I think it would be so cool for boutiques to collaborate with, like, prominent small business owners in the area. Like, we all know who they are, right? Like, the woman who has had the restaurant in town for 30 years. Like, I'm making these up, but, there's always someone like that. You know someone who's the business coach who helps every business, like, thrive in the downtown. Um, someone who owns the local floral shop. Have either an item, like, launch an item, launch a capsule wardrobe, launch a collection with that
Love it.
person to where it's something
Mm.
that it could be fun. There's your model, do a fun photo and video shoot for social, but then it gives them opportunity to bring their network, like, um, like, into the boutique. Why can't I, like, think of boutique? We've said it like 30 times. Um, but yeah, just random idea for that. The next one I
Love
put
that.
is estheticians. Collaborate
Mm.
with local, like, nutritionists or, like, anyone who's, like, in nutritionist works or anyone in health and wellness in the area that they could share, like, how to this is gonna sound so corny, I don't know a better way to phrase this, but, like, they can help, like, create, like, recipes or, like, meal plans to, like, have you have, like, a healthy inside and a healthy, like, skin, healthy outside. I don't know a better way to say that, guys, so bear with me. The other thing that I thought of, because like I really want to go to LA and try it. I know it's like $30,000, but collaborate with a cafe and make like your own version of a Hailey Bieber smoothie.
Mm. Yes.
Like, why not? Make a smoothie,
Yes.
make a coffee, make a latte, make a matcha. Like, um, I think there's like so
You
many
know,
different things that you could do in that sense.
so Alfred, I don't know if you've heard of Alfred. I feel
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. I've
they're I think they're in LA too.
yeah.
They just did an espresso drink with Sabrina in collaboration with Sabrina Bryan.
Oh
And or right? Or Sabrina Carpenter.
oh
Who is Sabrina Bryan? But
yeah.
Sabrina Carpenter. I don't even yes. Um and I was like that's genius because of her song Espresso that just came out and I was like
Yeah.
yes, I love that one. That one's my favorite. And I one other thing about the why I think the esthetician and nutritionist is genius too is because my estheticians are the ones who actually have informed me how like peanut butter, for instance, is not the best for like acne. Like peanut butter, like again, the amount of sugar that's in peanut butter, but
Mhm.
just nuts in general too, where you might have the best like skincare routine, but if you're still having difficult breakouts, again, might come down to what you're eating. So I love that one too.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. And then my last one, I don't know if it's like a lot or not, but it's really short, but it's if you're an interior designer, collaborate with florists. You finish a project, you finish a design of a house, a remodel, a redecorating, whatever. Collab with a florist, like deliver like one or two bouquets on like a weekly like cadence. Like, I don't know, it's just a fun way that like obviously they appreciate your work and what you did, but then it's like maybe they're new to the area. They don't know like where to go for their local flowers. They see this boutique bouquet. Sorry guys. They see this bouquet from from a florist. They like use them and then it's just a fun collab. So that was my last one.
I love that. I love all those.
Yeah.
This was such a good episode. I know again we say that every time, but I
Yeah.
very
We
much enjoyed this episode.
clearly we don't pick favorites, but it does change every single week that we record.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I know we talk I feel like we always talk about so many things too, which I hope makes it like a great tangible episode for you guys listening. So I hope you guys like that. And feel free, go to #manage.com or the show notes, whatever is easiest for you. Join the social club newsletter. Madeline works so hard on that. I know we have so many things to link in this episode alone. So subscribe to that, 100% free. Join our free Facebook group, #Managed Collective. Follow us on Instagram at #Managed. And am I missing anything? Like and nope, we're not on. Oh, we are on YouTube. Yeah, like and subscribe
Well,
on you.
maybe leave us a review.
Yep.
Let us know
Yeah.
how much you love us.
Yeah,
If
that's all.
if
That's
you
all we
don't,
ask.
I mean,
We only ask like
yeah.
5 to 6 things at the end of every episode, so we appreciate them all. But no, in all seriousness, if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening to this episode and subscribe so you can listen to our episode next Monday and every other week thereafter. And yeah, appreciate you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you haven't already, hit that follow button, and if you really love us, be sure to subscribe wherever you are listening from.
And if you want to be one of our online besties, you can shoot us a DM over at #managed on Instagram and let us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. Or, you could also share all your deepest, darkest secrets. Kidding. But we mean it when we say you can shoot us a DM. We love building real, authentic relationships with you.